At the dawn of the 15th century, from the east, the Turco-Mongol Timur invaded the Ottoman lands and took Sultan Bayezid I as a prisoner, leaving the Ottomans in a succession crisis. The Ottomans were now vassals to the Timurids. All their hard work and expansion was now halted. However, this was not the end. Little did they know that a much bigger internal threat would strike from the west. This was the revolt of Sheikh Bedreddin. Born as Mahmud in western Anatolia in 1359 to a Turkish father of Seljuk descent and a Greek mother, he was a pupil of Islamic learning and would leave his home for Egypt to pursue further Islamic studies. He would become a jurist in Cairo and was patronized by the Mamluk Sultan. Throughout his career in Egypt, he would come into contact with many Sufis and eventually become one himself, adopting concepts of Ibn Arabi, the unity of being, along with various other heterodox opinions. He allegedly denied the concepts of heaven and hell, and that the shaitan was just an evil within us, and that the world was uncreated and eternal. Mahmud would become known as Sheikh Bedreddin. His grandson reports that he constantly fasted and went into months of seclusion, where he neither ate nor drank. He would eventually return back to his native Anatolia, and according to the biography written by his own grandson Ismail, various cities across the Islamic world wanted to host him and have him as their spiritual guide. Upon his return to Anatolia, various Turkoman principalities, such as the Karamanids and the Aydin principalities, rivaling the Ottomans, patronized Sheikh Bedreddin and desired to have him as their spiritual guide. He was allegedly able to perform miracles, and through his piety and mystical recitations of the oneness of Allah, he electrified the masses. Masses of dervishes, Turkoman chiefs, Ghazi warriors, regional political players, and common Muslims, Christians, and Jews all became the Sheikh's disciples. It is also mentioned that the masses of Christians, including priests and monks, embraced Islam through the Sheikh. His top two disciples were Christian convert Borkluje Mustafa and Jewish convert Torla Kamal, who would go on to lead major rebellions against the Ottomans under the Sheikh's banner. Badruddin would ally himself with Musa Chelebi, one of the contenders to the Ottoman throne, and become his chief military judge. However, Musa Chelebi would be defeated by Mehmed Chelebi, the future Mehmed I, who would result in the Sheikh being put under house arrest in Iznik. But his disciples, Borkluje Mustafa and Torla Kamal, would rally the masses and continue the fight under the Sheikh's name. Ever since the invasion of Timur, Anatolia went through an economic crisis, as Timur raided the peninsula and took much of the wealth with him back to Central Asia, leaving Anatolia in a dire economic state. As a result, the masses of Muslims, Christians, and Jews alike became sour to the Ottomans as they were busy fighting the succession wars and neglecting their people. As a result, the masses sought refuge with the Sheikh and his disciples and saw them as their saviors. Furthermore, Borkluje Mustafa began preaching a proto-communistic Islam where all substances were shared, such as clothing, food, and property, and no one owned anything. This ideology further brought more Christians into Islam and united believers of all religions under one banner against the current corruption of the Ottoman state. Mehmed I would seek to rid these deviants off the face of this earth and marched against them. But his Ottoman armies were massacred and defeated by the rebels several times. Despite attempts to use soft power to win back the masses to the Ottoman side, they continued to cling faithfully to Burkluj Mustafa and his teachings. After several failures, the Ottomans finally sent their main forces and defeated Burkluj Mustafa and Torlak Kamal. Despite the triumph, Burkluj Mustafa refused to renounce his beliefs and was executed by the Ottomans for apostasy. Torlak Kamal was also hanged to death. Upon these events, Sheikh Bedreddin escaped to Rumelia and further gathered support and continued to unite the many Turcoman, Muslims, and Christians alike for further rebellion. However, since his top disciples were already defeated in Anatolia, the morale in the Sheikh dropped, and this led to his downfall, as he was eventually captured by Mehmed I's forces. Sheikh Bedreddin was then executed for rebellion and accused of leading his followers into deviancy. The story of Sheikh Bedreddin shows how a Muslim dervish took advantage of the crumbling Ottoman state and their supposed lack of Islamic piety, and united people from all religions, social and political classes, and gave the Ottomans their biggest threat to date,